Okay, hi. I'm Professor Stu Bernstein, and I'd like to welcome you to my Paradise home. And I'd like to give you a little bit of background on me before I talk to you about the construction management program. I graduated high school in 1970 and went to work in the construction industry as a tradesman. And over my 25 years, I worked as in a number of different crafts. Also worked as a foreman, a superintendent, project manager, worked in architectural and engineering design offices. And the last position I had before coming to teach was working for a national home builder where I would be given a number of acres where I had to put in the infrastructure, the utilities, and then build all of the houses. I've been teaching now for the last 13 years here at UNL. And actually, I've been a college student myself for the last 20 years, over a 20-year period anyways. I got my bachelor's in construction management at Syracuse University. I got my master's of architecture from Virginia Tech. And I just finished my PhD in leadership and educational administration here at UNL. Now, I've taught a number of courses over the last 13 years, but primarily I teach plan comprehension, estimating, scheduling, and personnel management. Some of my personal hobbies, I love to do art welding. You can see one of my small sculptures there on the left, and on the right you can see an arbor, which I built piece by piece and welded together. I also like to do pottery. I find it very relaxing and rewarding. And I've been brewing beer for probably the last 15 years. I've been married to my wife Rose for 36 years and have 3 children, Sean, Ashley, and Lashana, all of whom have gone back to school also. Sean is now in medical school, and Lashana and Ashley are both working on their masters. When I talk about the construction management program, keep in mind that there is a CM program on the Lincoln campus and on the Omaha campus, but virtually they are identical programs. So I'm just going to speak about the construction management program as if it was one. Both programs offer virtually the same curriculum, the same employment opportunities, during school and after graduation. Most of your classes in Lincoln, the construction classes are going to be in Nebraska Hall, and the area has been newly remodeled and has very high-tech equipment in some of the new areas. And in Omaha, most of the classes are offered at the Peter Keywood Institute, which we call PKI, and that has also been remodeled and is very high-tech. Now this is a picture of the entryway to PKI in Omaha, and what I want you to do is take note of the front doors. So if you enter through these front doors, you're going to come into an atrium space, and as you come into the atrium, take a minute to look up, because we have one of the finest Chihuly glass sculptures in the world hanging in our atrium, and it's absolutely magnificent. So take a few minutes to enjoy that. But then if you look to your left, basically that leads to the bank of offices for the engineering staff and faculty. And as you go through that door and go straight down the corridor, you'll come to a circular bank of offices. And if you think of yourself as standing at 6 o'clock, if you go clockwise, my office is at just about 10 o'clock, and it's very easy to recognize because of all the chazarai that I have on the door. But most of those things are cards from former students, pictures of their families, and memorabilia such as that. If I'm in the office, and I typically get to work at 6:30 in the morning and don't leave before 3:30, my door is always open. So if you happen to walk by and see me in my office, feel free to knock on the door. Even if I'm busy, I will stop and we can have a conversation. So if you happen to be in high school right now and you're thinking of going into construction management, or you're not sure what you want to do and you want to find out more about it, if you look at the last slide, it has my contact information. So you can email me and we can set up an appointment. If you're already on campus, like I said, feel free to walk by and see if I'm in. Otherwise, really the best thing to do is email and we can make an appointment and I'll make sure I'm there for you. So let's talk about construction management and what are the goals of our program. We're trying to put out the best students in the country. And I think we've actually done a really good job of that. And based on the feedback that I've gotten from our industry partners, we have done that. And basically, when I talk about project manager or construction manager, this list that's here are some of the different titles or positions that you might find yourself in a construction management role. And if you look down to the bottom of the list, you'll see it says company managers and company owners. We have a number of our graduates who own their own construction companies or are the head of different divisions or head of complete companies. So there is really no limit to what you can accomplish with our degree, because actually managing a company is not that much different from managing a construction project. So what do construction managers do? Well, it might be easier for me to tell you what they don't do. They don't go out on the construction site and swing a hammer or carry a saw or anything else like that. They actually manage the people. So they manage the process, the construction process. And the three things that they're primarily responsible for is making sure that the project is done within the allotted time, that all of the resources that are needed to complete the project are available, and they're managing people. So basically, I say they're managing time, people, and money. And what are the skills that a good construction manager needs? Well, number one, organizational skills. When you think about all of the activities that goes into building a specific project, and there could be thousands of activities, you have to be able to plan ahead and organize that project so that there's no downtime, so that everything is ready for you, and everybody knows where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there. So organizational skills are critical. Communication skills, both verbal and written. When you think about being a project manager, you're out there in the field. You might be talking to the tradesmen. You might be talking to the project managers from your subcontractors. You might be talking to the owner of the subcontracting company. You might be talking to the owner of the project, who might be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. So you have to have that ability to communicate with all different levels of people about all different topics, primarily concerning your construction project. You have to be able to understand the plan. So I don't care if it's a 3D plan or a 2D plan, whether it's on paper or whether it's digital. You have to be able to take that set of drawings that you're seeing and convert that into the actual building process. So in your mind's eye, you're actually seeing this project being built. So I like to think of it as I'm deconstructing the entire project and then figuring out how to put it all back together again. And that's exactly what you have to do to be a good project manager. You have to have critical thinking and problem-solving skills, because no matter how well you plan, something's going to happen that you may not have anticipated, or you may have anticipated it, but conditions have changed, and now you have to plan for something different. So you have to be able to think on your feet. And there are no cut and dry answers that you can just open a book and ask, well, what do I do next? So being able to solve the problem and think critically on your feet is very critical. So you as a project manager like I say, you're not doing the work, but you have to be familiar with all the different materials, processes, the order of operation, and then that's just to be able to understand the project. Once you have gotten the project and you've started to build it, then you have to know who's responsible for each of the operations, how much time has been allotted, and are you staying on the schedule, and how much cost has been allotted, and are you staying within the budget. So you're monitoring these projects on a daily basis. And what types of projects do our students work on? Well, construction is basically divided into two different categories. One is building and the other is civil. Building is pretty self-explanatory, so it includes all residential and retail stores, hospitals and office buildings. And civil projects are basically your roads, your bridges, your tunnels, power plants, and water treatment plants. And our students are prepared to work in either direction, and sometimes they work for companies that do both types of projects, and they get the opportunity to work on all kinds of different projects. We work with probably, I'm going to say, between 60 and 100 different construction partners who look to hire our students. And these are general contractors, specialty contractors, or what you call subcontractors, and even suppliers. And this is a very short list of some of the companies that we work with. And you'll see, like, there's Union Pacific hires 2 or 3 of our students. And that you're thinking, well, why would a railroad company need construction management students? Well, they have a lot of buildings along their tracks that have to be upkept. And so these students actually ride the rails and check these buildings out on a daily basis. And then you'll see some of the other ones are general contractors and some of them are specialty contractors. Both campuses have career fairs. We go out of our way to help our students find work. The Lincoln campus actually has a career fair in the fall and in the spring. Theirs tends to be very large because they have companies representing every different engineering program. Whereas the one in Omaha, we only have in the fall, and we're only representing construction management, construction engineering, and architectural engineering. So we have fewer students there, fewer companies, although there's still maybe 60 companies represented there. But you get to have more personal time, one-on-one time with the different contractors. If you are going to do an internship, you can expect to be paid approximately $15 an hour, but that's variable. And right now our students that are graduating are averaging around $55,000 a year. But again, that depends on how good a student you are and how much experience, how many different internships you've had. We have a number of different student organizations. I've listed 2 of the bigger ones here. The first one is a specialty contractors, which is affiliated with Mechanical Contractors Association. And the second one is more of a general contractors, which is affiliated with Associated General Contractors. But both of these organizations give students the opportunity to network with both regional and national companies for jobs and other types of resources. And it's never too early to try to network with a construction company. And they also do great jobs with different community service projects. Now, I've provided a couple of slides. These next few slides are projects. And I'm going to tell you, these are projects that are all within a 3-mile radius of the PKI building. And while we had a little bit of a downturn during the recession a few years ago, construction is booming right now. And in Omaha itself and in Lincoln, there are a lot of construction projects, and across the nation, there are a lot of ongoing construction projects to the point now where I can almost it's almost hard for me to provide a student for every job that I have coming across my desk. So we're in a great position. We have more jobs than students. Now, this first slide, what you see here, I just wanted to point out, this is an office building, but I wanted to point out a tower crane to you. If you've never seen a tower crane, or if you didn't know what it was called, that's a tower crane. And at the end of the slide presentation on Blackboard, there'll actually be a list of YouTube videos that you can go to, and I recommend going to look at these videos. There is a video there that shows this tower crane being erected, which is really very interesting to see. This is a picture of two different concrete pump trucks. And if you're not familiar, I mean, it sounds like pretty obviously what they do. But again, I provided you a YouTube video that you can watch to see what pump trucks actually do. This is a project that's right down the street from PKI. And it's actually the new hockey arena that's being built on the UNO campus. And what I wanted you to look at here was these are a couple of lattice boom cranes. So as opposed to the other project, which was a number of stories being built vertically, which needed a tower crane, this is a very wide building that's only going to be one story. And so a tower crane wouldn't have worked as well. So what they have are these mobile cranes which can drive around the building and reach the different spots. You'll also notice in the picture you can see different pieces of equipment, different activities going on, and you can see some of the different construction office trailers that are there. This site is part of the UNMC medical campus. This is the new cancer building. And this site is very tight. If you look towards the bottom left-hand corner, that's actually a parking garage right there. And in the background, you can see there's a couple buildings. And in the next slide, you'll see you'll see another shot of this. There's buildings on the opposite side. So it's a very tight site. And that's one of the things about being organized and being prepared. You have to understand where your laydown areas are, where your equipment is going to be, and how you're going to move around the site and get everything done. Some of the things I wanted to point out to you here, this is going to be a poured concrete floor. And so you have all this scaffolding here that's holding up the temporary formwork for the floor. It's a temporary formwork that's put in place there. There's going to be some concrete walls poured there. And if you look around the site, you can see some other formwork. Again, there's videos that you can go look at that show you more about scaffolding and formwork. This is, like I said, this is a little further over to the site. You can see the building. So that site is so tight. There's so many activities going on. Here you can see there's a little excavation going on here. They're digging for a new foundation. And then if you look real closely here, you'll see a couple of men standing around. And you can see that they're in bright yellow clothing. And they're wearing hard hats. This is called PPE, protective gear. It's personal protective equipment. And basically, safety is the most important part of being a project manager, because you want everybody on your project to go home the way they showed up to work. You want them to go home with all their toes and fingers and everything else they showed up with, and you don't want anybody to lose a loved one. So safety is critical. So I know I've run through this thing very quickly, and just to wrap up, about what I think about construction managers and what they are probably the most talented people that I know. They're able to do so many different things. They have so many important skills. They're able to get along with people. They're very organized. They understand processes. They have to keep up with all the new things that are happening in the industry, and there is a lot of new things happening in our industry that are very interesting. They get to work on some really magnificent projects. If you think about maybe building a football stadium or digging a 26-foot wide tunnel 110 foot below the ground, or building a bridge or a superhighway or an offshore drilling rig. Okay, I have students that are working in California, Texas, Phoenix, Florida, Georgia, Washington, D.C., Washington State, and of course all over Nebraska. So the opportunities to work on great projects and travel is going to be magnificent for you. And if you think about it, and this is beyond my time, but I don't think it's going to be beyond your time, you may be building on the moon, you may be building on Mars, you may be building space stations. So think about all those possibilities. And the money is actually great. So I've always loved construction. I've had a great time in it. I've been in it now for about 40 years. I expect to be in it for at least another 10 or 15. And I can't think of a better life. So take a look. Again, my information here. Feel free to email me or call me. We can set up an appointment. Or like I say, please feel free to drop by. If you're walking by my office, you see the door open, come on in, let's have a conversation. Okay? Y'all have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you in one of my classes.